It's been a little over a year since Minecraft's last major update, 1.21, the Tricky Trials update. That means that essentially we have been under the new drop update system for about a year now. In case you haven't been keeping up with Minecraft's development, instead of getting a big major update for the summer like we normally do, we got several smaller updates released throughout the year, which are known as drops. The terminology does get a little confusing. Now, when this new system was first announced, I was honestly pretty mixed on the whole thing. I made a couple videos talking about it, but I wanted to wait until we've had these for a full year before coming back to another verdict on which format I prefer. So now that it has been a full year, I can confidently say, I'm still mixed. Today, I want to sort of reflect on this past year's worth of drops and compare it to the previous yearly update system to see what the strengths of each system are. I'm going to sort of separate this video into multiple different categories, and based on which categories are most important to you, you can come to the conclusion on which you think is better. Or you could just go with my opinion, I don't know. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and let's jump right in. So obviously the main concern with the drop system is the difference in release schedule between it and the old update system. Looking back to 1.21, it was released on June 13th, 2024, which is a little bit over a year after 1.20, which was released on June 7th, 2023. That means that, like I said, under the original update system, there was one major update pretty much every year. But that's not the full truth. See, between 1.20 and 1.21, there were 6 mini updates indicated by the number after the 20. Now, 4 of those were pretty much just bug fix updates, but 2 of them were actually considered to be drops. 1.20.3, known as the Bats and Pots drop, was released on December 5th, 2023. Now, compared to the drops we're getting today, this is certainly the smallest, only really changing a couple things. Can you guess what they changed? But the point is that even under the yearly update system, we still got drops. That's especially highlighted with 1.20.5, which is known as the Armored Paws drop. This was released on April 23rd, 2024, and actually added a good amount of features like armadillos, wolf armor, and wolf variants. I would argue, while not the biggest drop, it's at least on the level of some of the current stuff. So if we were to lay out the update timeline here, this is about what it would look like under the yearly update system. The biggest stuff comes out during the summer, with smaller drops in between. Even if this wasn't what they did every year, Mojang clearly has the potential to do this sort of schedule, so it's going to be our comparison point for the drops. Now, the drop schedule is a bit more all over the place. Since Tricky Trials, we have had 7 minor versions, but of those, only 5 I would consider to be drops, as the other 2 are just hotfixes. One of the drops is a bit more debatable, but since I included the Bats and Pots drop on the update timeline, I figured I'd be generous with the drop system too. The first drop under the system was Bundles of Bravery, which was released on October 22nd, 2024. This one was really small because it was just about adding a feature that should have been in the game 3 years ago. Thanks, Bedrock Edition. The next drop was a lot bigger, being the Garden Awakens, releasing on December 3rd, 2024. This is what I would say is the first major drop, actually adding a substantial amount of features. And then from there, we got Spring to Life on March 25th, 2025, Chase the Skies on June 17th, 2025, and 1.21.7 on June 30th, 2025. 1.21.7 is the one that's debatable if it counts, but since it added a record disc, I figured why not. Oh yeah, I gotta do my 1.21.7 feature ranking. 1 Lava Chicken. It sounds good. But anyways, that's it for this video. Mario, Dry Bones for Smash, all that outro. Okay, but now we've got both of our timelines pretty much set. Obviously, as it's the whole purpose of the drop system, we got a few more points in the timeline, as we get a drop about every 3 months or so. So theoretically with the drops, we should be getting features faster, as we don't have to wait as long compared to the yearly system. While that may sound like only a good thing, we do have to consider how big these drops actually are to see if the more frequent schedule is truly worth it. I want to make a quick edit to mention that they just announced the Copper Golem drop after I wrote my script. It's not technically relevant to the video anyway, since my cutoff for the year was June on both timelines, but if you wanted to shift the ending month, that could affect what I say here. Just wanted to bring that up because I know people would in the comments, and also the new stuff there looks really good. Congrats on coming back to life, Copper Golem! That brings us to our next big category, the amount of features. Obviously, if one of the systems gives out more content, then it's going to sound like it's the better option. But which system did end up giving us more stuff within a year? Now, it's obviously hard to get an exact count. A lot of the drops focus on changes rather than new additions, and some additions are simply smaller than others. Like, sure, all of the animal skins in the Spring to Life drop are cool, but I think one crafter is better than all of that. In fact, I would take the crafter over every new addition in the Spring to Life drop combined. So unfortunately, getting an exact count of things is not really possible because the value of those features change based on the person. But if I were to simply lay everything out, here's what the new additions look like according to the Minecraft wiki for our yearly update model. Now, like I said, this is hard to take an exact count for. The fact that every copper block has to be listed multiple times for each of its weathering and waxed variants makes this look a lot bigger. On top of that, this doesn't include the trowel chamber itself since that's a structure, even though it was the main focus of the update. The wolf variants from the Armored Paws drop are also not shown here. So take this count with a massive grain of salt. This is just a rough rough estimate to give us a comparison point. If we put the charts up for all the drop editions, this is what the wiki gives us. Also, since they didn't have an image for 1.21.7, let's just throw Dennis and Lava Chicken in there too. Going purely based on the count of features shown on the website, which I can't stress enough is not a perfect comparison, stop typing in the comments, I see you, we get 133 new features for the update year and 92 for the drop year. That is a fairly big gap, and you may think a lot of that comes from the duplicated copper, but keep in mind that I counted every color of bundle and ghast harness as a separate feature too. The drop count did miss out on the pale garden biome and new animal skins, but the update count also missed out on trial chambers and the wolf skins. So I'm gonna have to say that by my best estimate, it looks like the yearly update system does give us more features. There's always a chance that this was just an off year for the drops, but since this is all I have to go on, I think I have to say that the yearly update system was better in this regard. But here is where things start to get a lot more controversial, the quality of these features. It's one thing to add a lot, but it's another to ensure that they're actually good for the game. Now, what makes this even more tricky than just a straight comparison is the fact that obviously this wildly varies year to year. I mean, just look at 1.21 versus 1.20, which were both under the yearly update system. 1.20 is one of the game's lamest updates, I'm just gonna say it. There were definitely good features like new wood types and armor trims, but nothing that really blew people away. That's why 1.21 is better, because it added wind charges, which can blow people away. No, but seriously, 1.21 in comparison is so much better, adding a ton of new building blocks, the best structure in the game, a ton of new potions, the mace, the crafter, and so on. So it's kind of hard to count feature quality because it really just depends on what Mojang wants to focus on. So instead of straight comparing the quality of the features, I want to talk about how these models can affect Mojang's focus. Pretty much every update and drop has a theme behind it, that's where they get the names from. Tricky Trials mostly focused on the Trial Chamber, the Garden Awakens mostly focused on the Pale Garden, the Bats and Pots drop mostly focused on... shoot, still get back to me. But where these models differ is the fact that since there are more drops in a year, that means Mojang is allowed to focus on multiple different areas of the game within the same year. So just in this past year, we got a bundle focus, Pale Garden focus, nature focus, happy ghast focus, and movie focus. Coming in hot! Almost none of these relate to each other pretty much at all, so the beauty of the drop system is that it allows Mojang to really work on different areas of the game and provide a bigger variety of features. But at the same time, these features of focus are not quite as in-depth as what Mojang chooses for the major updates. The Pale Garden, for example, I still think is a bit underwhelming in a lot of ways. I still like the new blocks it gave us, but I feel like the biome itself should have more to it. Mojang, please, it's right there! Compared to the Trial Chambers, I think it's obvious which was more fully developed. By having a whole year to focus on it, Mojang was able to pretty much perfect the structure and its loot, making it one of my favorite things in the game, period. So yes, we do get a bigger variety with the drops, but a lot of the features are a bit undercooked, or at least not nearly as game-changing as what gets added through the major updates. But also, that's not the full story, because not everything released within the last yearly update cycle was related to the Trial Chamber. My favorite feature of the update was the Crafter, which is completely separate from the chamber itself. I could see the Crafter being something that got its own drop similar to the bundle, but instead it was just in the update. On top of that, there were 20 paintings added in the Tricky Trials update that have nothing to do with the chamber. And most of all, there were still drops during the yearly cycle. So Mojang was able to have both their big focus of the Trial Chamber and the smaller focus of armadillos and wolves within the same year. So sure, under the drop system we get more little things to focus on individually, but there are still a good variety during the update system which also provided one big focus. So to me, it seems like Mojang's time was better spent during the yearly update cycle as they could really polish their big new feature and still add all the smaller features on the way. Meanwhile, nowadays, we do still get some fairly important features, but most are a lot smaller than what we were getting before. And that was probably the biggest consequence of the drop system that I was fearful of when they first announced it. The drops simply do not drum up that much excitement. Now yes, if you're already locked into the Minecraft space, hearing about every new snapshot, you are probably quite excited for every new feature. I mean, how could you not be excited for Pale Oak boats? With chests! Whoa. But for people that like the game but only play it every now and then, these drops don't really capture people's attention. For the major updates, you get a full year to build up people's hype, and since the feature of focus is also a huge game changer, it gets people really looking forward to its release. I remember there being a ton of hype after almost every new feature announcement for Tricky Trials, especially regarding the Mason stuff. That meant that when it released, a lot of people wanted to open Minecraft to try it out. The drops though don't really get that same kind of build up. In fact, it's to the point where a lot of my comment section whenever I release a drop ranking can be summed up as, oh wait, this came out. That didn't really happen when it came to the major updates because the excitement was there and unable to be ignored. With the drops having smaller focuses, it makes people not only less excited, but less willing to open the game for each one. Even if numerically the drops added more stuff, since it's mostly small stuff, it doesn't really build on each other to bring people back. I mean, think about it like this. A big new dungeon specifically designed for multiplayer with a brand new weapon you can get, people are gonna want to check that out. A few new animal skins and some plants though, I don't think that's gonna drag as many people back. And I want to stress again that most of the drop features are good, but without a big focus to draw people in, the only people that are gonna get excited are those already playing the game. Now before I get to my big conclusion, I do want to talk about a few personal sort of perspectives when it comes to these drops based on my own personal Minecraft experience. Obviously this whole video is opinion based, but these points I feel are a lot more focused around how I play and experience the game. For most of the year, I don't really get a ton of time to go on. I'm in college and edit these videos every week for you guys, so I don't really have a ton of time to play games, period. Obviously that time I do get has to be split across all the games I play for the channel, so really my main time for playing Minecraft is during the summer when I have a bit more free time. So for me, I don't really get to fully experience the new features of each drop until I get to play in the summer anyway, which is the same time the yearly updates would come out. So to me, the more frequent drops don't really make a ton of difference, which I do think plays a big factor toward my preferences. With that said, I do still watch a lot of Minecraft throughout the year, especially while I'm editing. The Hermitcraft server has been a major part of my YouTube consumption, especially ever since the 10th season started. In case you somehow don't know what that is, Hermitcraft is a Minecraft survival server with a lot of the big Minecraft YouTubers like Etho, this guy from the Minecraft movie, and so on. I bring them up because it is nice to see drops come out throughout the year and how a lot of them are able to make episodes focusing around the new features. While it is cool though, I can't say I get more excited to watch when a drop comes out. It's mostly just neat to focus on for an episode. So I'll give the drop system points for allowing new content to be made about them throughout the year, but it's not a huge point in their favor. One other thing that I thought I should bring up is all of the annoyances that come with updating the game. Sure, actually moving from one version to another in the launcher isn't so bad, but it gets much worse if you have any mods or resource packs that you use while playing. It wasn't so bad when all we had to do was update them once or maybe twice a year, but with the drops coming out every few months, we also have to update all of the other stuff every few months. Now luckily, I don't use mods, but for anyone that does, I can see this being extremely frustrating, especially with some mods taking longer to update than others. I do use resource packs though, and I can confidently say that that's also a fairly big annoying aspect about these drops. Wouldn't say it swayed my opinion too much, just worth noting as another negative aspect. But in conclusion, which type of development model do I prefer? Well, to be quite honest, I think I'm going to have to say I slightly prefer the yearly update system. I love the excitement of having a big new feature added to the game, and it's also great when that feature gets the love and attention it deserves. The drops have definitely been good, and I like pretty much all of them. I just don't think the combined total of them really rivals how good some of the major updates are. Now granted, this opinion is still open to be changed. Maybe Mojang will add twice as many drops next year or something, we really just have to wait and see. But my conclusion from this first year is that the new system is a bit weaker due to less content and a lack of a super strong feature to draw people in. Luckily, Mojang said they aren't done with major updates, it's just that we aren't getting them every year now. Maybe the next major update will be able to be significantly bigger than normal because of all the drops we've had in between. So hopefully once they finally get to 1.22, the wait will be worth it. But as of now, I think I'm gonna have to say that I slightly prefer the old yearly update model. But anyways, that's it for this video. Do you all love the tall dry grass item and hate me for not mentioning it coming from the drops? Let me know in the comments. I know this is a bit of a smaller video, but hopefully it was still enjoyable, and more importantly, hopefully I could get my point across since I did struggle a bit with this script. But before I go, I've got to thank my members being Levi Strux, Alki42, Maidzo2, Nuclear, Cassie Channel, Fredbear's Diner, Nathaniel B, Seth the Sun Villano, Luma, Blessed Tiger, Yanni the Duck, Wyatt Derpy, Trader Mo, Evans2001, Kid Trunks 15, Caddy Shroom, Enchanted Skull, SMA, B Major 2003, Arson the Raboot, Sir Moosty, Balandor, Puggles Are Fun, Diluted Colors, Cinder CC, Jade Avery, Punzel Clone, Thicky Reiki, Ungenio TM, CW McCain, Tibby, JubeTube Tesseract, Mr. McMahon 5702, Hippopotamus, Jameson Pageson, Wilbur, Golden Stash 15, Zfrost, Stuffy Ant, Justex, Concanut to Keep, and Christian Flattery Sequel Edition. But anyways, dry bones for Smash, and I'll see you guys next time.